Homage to the fundamental teacher Buddha Shakyamuni, homage to the wisdom warrior Manjushri, homage to all the benevolent lineage masters. The Dharma, infinitely profound and subtle, is rarely encountered even in a million eons. Now that we are able to hear, study, and follow it, may we fully realize the Tathagata's true meaning. In order to liberate all sentient beings from samsara, please generate the Supreme Bodhicitta before we start today's teaching. Now we will continue with the study on the qualities of the seven-line prayer. Previously, I gave a concise explanation on the sadhana of the seven-line prayer, a treasure text revealed by Jamgon Khantrul Lodro Taye. Today we will learn about the recorded history of the seven-line prayer. In many dharmas of great Tertons, there are a good number of explanations in history as well as its qualities, extraordinary power of blessing, and other aspects. How is it described here? The seven-line prayer is famous as the invocation used by the Vajrayakinis to invite Guru Rinpoche to their sacred feast. Moreover, once long ago, 500 non-Buddhist masters, experts in grammar and logic, met at the glorious monastery of Nalanda, intending to put an end to the Buddhadharma. There were also 500 Buddhist Panditas present. When the Buddhist scholars were losing the debate, all the Panditas had the same dream that night. Actually, there are two versions regarding this event. One is that when they didn't know what to do, a Dakini suddenly appeared in the sky before them and offered them a solution. Another version is that all these Panditas had the same dream at the same time. What happened in the dream? The Dakini Supreme Peace appeared and admonished them with the following prophecy. "How could you defeat the non-Buddhists?" she cried. "If you do not invite my brother, Dorje Totsanzel, now dwelling in the dark charnel ground among corpses and in the complete darkness. His name is Guru Sangye Jatok." In fact, Guru Sangye Jatok is one of the 8 manifestations of Guru Rinpoche. If you don't invite him, the Buddha's teachings will be completely annihilated. At that time, the Dakini advised them with this prophecy. Then the Panditas told the Dakini, "But the way is hard," they said. "We cannot make the invitation." "Go up to the roof of the temple," the Dakini said, "and prepare great offering, burn incense, and play music. With great devotion, if all of you recite the seven-line prayer together, my brother, Padmasambhava, will come with support." Then she taught them how to recite the seven-line prayer. The Panditas followed the Dakini's instruction and set out a grand offering on the roof of the temple. Accompanied by wonderful music, they began praying. And in that very instant, Guru Rinpoche appeared to them out of the sky. Taking his position as the leader of the 500 scholars, he overcame the 500 non-Buddhist masters with reasoning and by appeal to scriptural authority. They were completely defeated and Buddhism won the debate. When it came to the contest on miraculous power, the heathens also showed their magical powers. Then, through the wrathful mantra and a leather casket given by the lion-faced Dakini Marajita, who advised Guru Rinpoche how to subjugate the Tartikas. Following her instruction, Padmasambhava called the rumbling thunder from the sky and demonstrated many other miraculous powers. In some historical records, it is said that Padmasambhava gestured the subjugation mudra and pointed his vajra towards the heretics while reciting Hom Hom to them. At that moment, the Tartikas were defeated and all fell to the ground. So the mudra, the vajra, and the appearance of Padmasambhava all have an extraordinary power for conquering evil heretics, demons, and evil forces. Lightning fell and all the non-Buddhists who had evil intentions were annihilated, while the rest were converted to the Buddhadharma. So it was that the seven-line prayer spread far and wide. For a time, the prayer was popular in countries such as India, Sri Lanka, Pakistan, Zanling, and many others. So this prayer spread far and wide in many countries before it was introduced to Tibet. People in these places were particularly fond of reciting it. Likewise, in the Tibetan region, everyone chants it, monastics or laity. Other than some young people nowadays, for the older generation, whenever obstacles or plights occur, they all join their palms together and pray with this seven-line prayer. Many cases in history show us that we can always rely on this prayer when a challenge occurs in our life or dharma practice. For instance, when I was preparing to be a monk, for quite a while, I was troubled by many obstacles and challenges. It seemed like I could not overcome these difficulties, so I focused on reciting this prayer for some time. Although I didn't know much about the meaning on a deeper level, however, from many elders and lamas, I learned that through entreating Guru Rinpoche with the seven-line prayer, all our wishes can be fulfilled. So I dedicated myself to praying for some time. Even today, when I think back, it seems that many problems at that time just disappeared magically. I truly believe that the blessing of Padmasambhava is incredible. If we tell this to non-Buddhists or those with wrong views, they might think that we are self-flattering or exaggerating. But indeed, through many years of practicing and praying, I do experience the power of Guru Rinpoche's great blessings. Therefore, Dharma friends, whenever you run into any obstacles in Dharma practices or have any mental distress, knowing that to pray to Guru Rinpoche is very important. Entreat Padmasambhava intensely, and you will definitely not be swayed by obstacles, said Orgyen Tendzin Norbu, the author of the Shastra of Praising Precepts. His Holiness Jigme Phuntsok Rinpoche often used this quote. In fact, other than quoting the words, whenever hindrances befall on his retinues or the institute, he always prayed with devotion. Whether in the propagation of Buddhadharma or personal practice, praying with conviction, brings significant results in the age of degeneration. Many Dharma friends really want to become good practitioners. But without a powerful force behind us, lacking such a strong support, our expectation of becoming a good practitioner is rather unattainable. In a time like these, our spiritual path is like the sun obscured by clouds. Sometimes it is obstructed by demonic forces, sometimes by unfavorable conditions, sometimes by evil gurus or doctrines, etc. Thus our practice goes awry. So if we wish our Dharma practice to be successful, for example, for an ordained person, if you want to keep your precepts pure, to become a good ordained monastic, pray to Guru Rinpoche consistently, and he will protect you anytime, anywhere. With such a protective shield, you can withstand all kinds of challenges. If you are a lay practitioner under adverse circumstances and want to complete your Dharma practice successfully, which is extremely difficult nowadays, for it is beset with challenges, in order to remove all hindrances and improve on the spiritual path, you need the blessings of the Guru and the three jewels. We can see clearly from the story that as long as we are entreating him wholeheartedly with conviction and devotion, Padmasambhava will come in front of us immediately. Then, all our difficulties and pain can be resolved through his incredible power. If we don't supplicate, if we don't call for him, however incredible his blessings are, we may not be able to receive it. For example, the magnifying glass can be used for kindling a fire. Yet, if it's not pointed to the sun, although the glass is meant to direct the light, without pointing it towards the sun, then the sunlight will never pass through the glass. But if you point it towards the sun, which is far from us, yet magically, the sunlight is channeled through the magnifying glass to spark a fire. Therefore, to supplicate daily is very important. Some people often say that simply observe the mind is enough, and there is no need to recite mantras and prayers. They think these are excessive. This might be true for a few individuals of keen capacities. As some sutras mention, there are very few who can accomplish everything just by abiding in the natural state. Yet, for most of us general people, we must apply prayers and mantra recitations. Then we can build a connection with Buddhas and Bodhisattvas. Nowadays, some lamas say that prayers and mantras are like the phone numbers. As we chant, we are making a phone call. To compare reciting mantras with making phone calls doesn't seem to make perfect sense, because when you make a phone call, the number you dial has changed. Then you won't be able to reach the person, but the names and prayers of Buddhas and Bodhisattvas will never change. It's not that only in the past Padmasambhava's number being the 7-line prayer, and now in the 21st century that the prayer is outdated and ineffective. So I think the analogy of making a phone call might not be that suitable, but in a way it works in terms of making a connection with another end. Anyway, speaking of the effect of mantra recitation, normally our minds become more peaceful when reciting. We wouldn't be irritated or be taken by anger while reciting mantras. It's unlikely to happen. Generating strong greediness while reciting mantras wouldn't happen either. So generally speaking, we notice that Dharma practitioners, when they are doing their daily practices, no matter how they behave at other times, at least during their chanting, their state of mind is relatively pure. A few improper thoughts might flash through from time to time, but even so, by reciting mantras, their minds are at peace. In history, there were many Buddhist masters who recited hundreds of millions of mantras throughout their entire life. Therefore, in their daily life, these great masters were not bothered by the petty matters of the mundane world. They wholeheartedly consider the recitation of mantras as a very important activity. Naturally, for most of the time, their minds remained very serene and pure. Also, in our daily lives, we can see that those who often recite mantras will experience fewer afflictive emotions. So we must know that this prayer of Padmasambhava is extremely beneficial. When in later times, Guru Rinpoche came to Tibet and established the Buddha's teachings here, he gave this prayer to the king and his subjects, who had the karmic fortune to receive it, like King Tresondetsen, Vairocana, and so on. He was mindful, too, of the generations to come, so much so that there is not a single dharma or hidden dharma treasure in which the seven-line prayer is not present. There is a book called The 100 Tertons, or Garland of Beryl. I'm not sure if there is a Chinese version, but their biographies have been translated into English and compiled into a very thick volume. If there is no Chinese version, I think in the future it is necessary to give an introduction to the Dharma tradition, which is a very special practice in Tibetan Buddhism. I mentioned a while ago that in the sutras, these practices also exist in a very brief and implicit manner. Yet it is widely spread through the teachings of Padmasambhava, which can be seen in the extraordinary treasure texts revealed by Tertons. I think we'll get to know more about them later. Generally speaking, in the Tibetan region, there are many dharmas. In every one of them, there are uncommon sadhanas based on, in different ways, of chanting the seven-line prayer, as well as life events of Padmasambhava. In fact, there are many biographies of Padmasambhava. Some masters said that there are more than 4,900 different biographies. Tertons illustrated various stories of Guru Rinpoche and practices of the seven-line prayer. Nowadays, there are also various instructions on Guru Yoga, and to this very day, this prayer is a great treasure of authentic blessings and accomplishments. Until now, truly, the blessings have always been incredible. For anyone who practices the seven-line prayer consistently, their path will progress without obstacles. They will experience various meditative states. Inner and outer demonic influences will naturally disappear. The blessing, wisdom, and accomplishments of the lineage masters will swiftly enter into their heart. The seven-line prayer is the constant companion of many Dharma friends here. I know that for days and years, many of them never stop reciting the seven-line prayer 100 times and the Vajra Guru mantra 1,000 times. Many people I know are like this, including some Hind Dharma friends. I think if we persevere in practicing this way, many obstacles will be cleared away and our practices will go smoothly. Then our body and mind will become more easily attuned with the Dharma. We will be able to receive the blessing of Buddhas and Bodhisattvas constantly. then our faith towards the three jewels will naturally become stronger and stronger. Thus, the realization of the ultimate truth of all dharmas will not be hard to attain at all. If our minds are not in tune with Buddhadharma, then the blessings from the gurus, bodhisattvas, dharma protectors, dakkas, and dakinis cannot be received. We can be diligent and work really hard. Yet if we rely only on our own, the result won't be as optimistic. A treasure like this carries a very powerful text of the blessing that should be practiced at all times. For example, a person who is seriously ill will carry an effective medicine with him all the time. Every one of us has our own troubles and challenges. We know this very well. There are many people who complain, "Oh, I have loads of negative emotions and obstacles. Why can't I practice well all the time? Look at my fellow friends. They wake up so early in the morning and recite volume after volume of text. Yet look at me, I'm either sick or suffer from great afflictions." In fact, these challenges may be caused by influences that we cannot see with our naked eyes, which might be the non-human or the evil spirits. Therefore, in such situations, it's very important that we recite a very powerful mantra or prayer. This is a key to why many former masters succeeded in their spiritual path. They practiced secretly in a way that was not perceivable to others. The secret practice that they kept might be no other than a Guru Rinpoche's sadhana or some of his prayers. They relied on these prayers their whole lives. In their final years, they knew clearly that, oh, in this life, I'm so fortunate to be blessed by the three jewels so that I was not distracted by karmic obstacles. I think I have mentioned it before in Mipham Rinpoche's Song of Happiness. He said that, although we live in a dark age, we are very fortunate to have encountered the teachings of Guru Rinpoche. So no matter what happens, we are blessed with happiness day and night. Despite the fact that we are born in the age of degeneration, a time of darkness, where evil spirits and demonic forces prevail. We are so lucky to have encountered true Dharma, the authentic Dharma without any deceptions, let alone the teaching endowed with the incredible blessing of Padmasambhava. I sincerely feel from the bottom of my heart that in a chaotic era like now, it is a true privilege to have met such a wonderful teacher and excellent teachings. This is the fruition of my accumulated merit over eons. Such thoughts come to me quite often, and I believe you probably have the same feeling. Now, I will give you a concise explanation of the meaning of the seven-line prayer. In brief, this prayer may be expounded on three levels. Outwardly, this literal sense is explained. I plan to give a complete commentary on this first part. Inwardly, the hidden meaning of the Vajra words is unraveled according to the teachings of the path of liberation and the path of skillful means. Regarding the second level, this requires the preliminary practice and empowerment. Although I have already translated this part, we will skip it for this time. Finally, an explanation is given of how this prayer is implemented on the path. So the whole text is divided into three sections. The third section is the practice of the Guru Yoga of Padmasambhava, which I also plan to teach this time. So I will skip the second section and talk about the first and the last section. First of all, the outer explanation of the literal meaning of the prayer. Here's the 7-line prayer. This is the 7-line prayer in Tibetan, and in English, it is as follows. Home, in the northwest of the land of Udayana, in the heart of a lotus flower, endowed with the most marvelous attainments, you are renowned as the lotus-born, surrounded by many hosts of dakinis. Following in your footsteps, I pray to you, come, inspire me with your blessing. Guru Rinpoche Hong. The first line talks about the place where the precious Guru took birth. The second line describes the kind of throne he appeared on, or the manner in which he was born. The third line speaks of the extraordinary qualities of Padmasambhava, or his exclusive power. The fourth line is on the name of Padmasambhava. The fifth line explains his extraordinary retinue. The sixth line talks about the devotion of the follower, the one who makes the invocation. I devote my body and mind wholeheartedly in following you, Padmasambhava. And the seventh line is the supplication to Padmasambhava for granting us accomplishments and blessings. Finally, it is sealed with the mantra. Now, let's take a look at the root text. I, the master of Udayana, the embodiment of all the Buddhas of the 3 times, am indivisible from Samantabhadra, the self-arisen primordial Dharmakaya, who from the very beginning is utterly liberated. Firstly, Orgyen Padmasambhava in the primordial expanse is no different from Samantabhadra. Within the Dharmakaya expanse, I am naturally and spontaneously present as the Sambhogakaya in 5 lineages. First is the Dharmakaya, then the Sambhogakaya, the body of enjoyment with the 5 certainties, and the natural radiance of the Sambhogakaya manifests as the inconceivable display of the Nirmanakaya. So Dharmakaya, Sambhogakaya, and Nirmanakaya, this is the sphere of Buddhas and of no one else. He possesses Dharmakaya, Sambhogakaya, and the various displays of Nirmanakaya. Or he has a high state of realization and a vast activity of benefiting beings. These are only the realm of Buddhas and not of ordinary beings. However, when talking about Padmasambhava in front of ordinary beings, he appears nothing more than a yogi, an extraordinary human being. But in reality, his true existence is by no means to be fathomed by ordinary people. He is indivisible from Amitabha or Avalokiteshvara. Before, I quoted the vital words from a short biography of Padmasambhava. Amitabha, the Buddha of infinite light from the Pure Land. Avalokiteshvara, the protector from Potaglaka. Padmasambhava of Dharmakosha. Externally, they manifest in 3 different forms. In reality, they are indivisible. In other words, Amitabha of the land of bliss, Avalokiteshvara of Potaglaka, and Padmasambhava of Dharmakosha. Although they appear as 3, one is Amitabha, one is Avalokiteshvara, and one is Padmasambhava, and it seems they are different. But in reality, there is no difference among them. Also, there is another verse from the short biography of Padmasambhava. that is just as what Mipham Rinpoche describes here, where the three kayas are indivisible. King Samatambhadra of the primordial expanse, Vajradhara of Aknanishta, Buddha Shakyamuni of Bodh Gaya is no different from me, Padmasambhava. In this verse, Dharmakaya Buddha Samantabhadra in the primordial expanse, Sambhogakaya Buddha Vajradhara of Aknanishta, and Buddha Shakyamuni of Jambudvipa or the Saha world. These three are no different from Padmasambhava. These two lines are taken from Sangye Limpa's short biography of Padmasambhava. In fact, in the Tibetan area, there are many biographies of Guru Rinpoche, such as Chorin Dorje's short biography, Sangye Limpa's short biography, and Orgyen Limpa's short biography. My mistake. The two quotations I gave are from Orgyen Limpa's. He is one of the 100 great Tetons who uncover more than 20 treasure texts. As recorded in history, he is an extraordinary master. When I was little, I copied these great biographies by hand, and I still have them now. I used to recite the texts of the biography by Chorin Dorje while I was herding yaks so I could memorize it. As for Orgyen Limpa's short biography, I cannot recite the whole text, but I can remember clearly much of the content. In Tibetan region, there is an extensive biography of Padmasambhava. If you place this in your home or shrine room and make offerings to them, by doing so, many obstacles will be cleared away. Those who don't have faith in Buddhadharma might not believe what I said, but those with conviction would know that Padmasambhava has the extraordinary power to dispel demonic forces. If some people think that they are under the influence of evil spirits, or there is a very strong counteracting force troubling them, I would always advise them to recite the mantra of Padmasambhava. Some people wonder and ask me whether I possess any supernatural power. If not, how do I know that they should recite this mantra? Although I don't have any miraculous power, I am professional in this field of study. Take medicine as example. For medical specialists, when you visit them for a diagnosis, they may examine your pulse, especially some doctors of traditional Chinese medicine. Sometimes they will ask you to open your mouth, and just by observing the color of your tongue, they can tell the condition of your health. Oh, you don't have enough qi, which is vital energy. I have met many doctors and they'll say I'm short of vital energy. Similarly, based on my years of experiences with Buddhism, I should know which mantra you need to recite. Just like the doctors who know if you're lacking qi or your pulse is weak or something else, I can tell the appropriate mantra, and this doesn't require any magic power. Yet if you want to know the thoughts of others, you need transcendental powers, otherwise you would not know. When it comes to ordinary matters, we can usually determine the situation with common sense. Therefore, when it comes to removing obstacles, the Vajraguru mantra truly has incredible power. As this quotation of Guru Rinpoche's Vajra words shows, the display of the Guru's three kayas is infinite. Within this very field of Buddha Shakyamuni, in our 3,000-fold cosmic system named endurance, in its hundreds of millions of pure fields, and within each of the 6 realms or states of being, within the 36 universes, situated above, below, and in the 4 cardinal directions. And according to Longchenpa's the wish-fulfilling treasury and his other teachings, in the 36 levels of worlds of Buddha Vairocana, Guru Rinpoche appears in a varied display of forms and with different names. He appears in the 6 realms. If you have some knowledge about liberation on hearing, you will know that, Padmasambhava is no different from Shakyamuni in the 6 realms. He manifests in different forms and names to benefit sentient beings. In our world of Jambudvipa, he has 8 manifestations, 20 other different emanations, and so forth, together with an inconceivable array of secondary emanations, and thus he propagates the teaching of the Buddha. In this world, Guru Rinpoche is known by 8 names, which are actually the 8 manifestations of Padmasambhava. You can have a look at the tanka of the 8 manifestations of Guru Rinpoche. In this tanka, the one in the middle is the one that we are familiar with, and surrounding him, there are different manifestations. Do I have it? I believe so. So there are 8 different manifestations of Padmasambhava. The first one is Tsoki Dorje, the lake-born Vajra. Why is he called the lake-born Vajra? Because at the beginning, Buddha Amitabha emanated the syllable Shri from the center of his heart, which descended into a lotus blooming on Lake Dhanakosha in Udayana. It transformed into an exquisitely beautiful 8-year-old child. At that time, the king of Udayana, Indrabhuti, emptied his treasury by performing generosity to those in need. Besides, he had no heir to succeed the kingship, so he set out on a voyage to Lake Dhanakosha in search for a wish-fulfilling jewel. As he returned with the jewel, his minister, Krishnada, found this amazing child. The king generated a great conviction towards Padmasambhava, invited him back to the kingdom, and installed him as the crown prince. This is why Guru Rinpoche is known by Lake-born Vajra, also known as the lotus-born. This is the origin of his first name. Later, Padmasambhava subdued the son of an atrocious minister, and after that, in different charnel grounds, he taught wonderful dharma to humans and non-human beings of fortunate karmic connections, and subdued unfortunate evil spirits who held wrong views against the dharma in a wild and wrathful form, which he was called Dorji Jolo.
好像这个愤怒念世啊，就成为这个愤怒念世的。然后后来呢，就是在那个应该在这个金刚。
At the Vajra seat in Bodh Gaya, India, Padmasambhava said to people, "I am the self-manifested Buddha." Many people slandered him, but in order to guide these beings to liberation, he received ordination from his master, Prahasti, and was given the name Shakasenge, Lion of the Shakyas. Padmasambhava received teachings of sutra and mantra from many gurus, such as Sri Singha and Buddha Guya. Whenever he was introduced to a new teaching, he immediately understood and mastered it, whether it was a sutra or tantra. So, he was given the name Loten Chokzi, the wise seeker of the sublime. In Zahor, he displayed various magical transformations. At that time, the king of Zahor did not acknowledge any signs of his accomplishments. The king and his ministers piled up firewood outside. They put Padmasambhava on top of the pyre so to burn him alive. Guru Rinpoche displayed all kinds of miracles. He transformed the pyre into a lake and was found sitting cool and fresh on the lotus blossom in the middle of the lake. So this place was transformed into the lake, the Rewalsar Lake, Tsobemma. When His Holiness Jigme Phuntsok went to India, he made a special visit to this lotus lake. By the lake, he composed the lament recalling the great guru of Udayana. Later, Padmasambhava was known as Pema Tirtsinsa, the powerful lotus born with a garland of skulls. The reason for the name being that Padmasambhava adorned his body with skulls. In order to inspire faith in the king of Udayana, after this, the king and his retinues, including ministers, all generated a great, fierce faith towards Padmasambhava. Later, for 13 years, Padmasambhava stayed and taught in Udayana. In homage to Guru Rinpoche, the king offered his entire kingdom, starting from his fine garments and 5 royal robes, as well as many other precious attires. The hat that the king offered is called the lotus, which liberates on sight. Then Padmasambhava was known as Pema Gyalpo, the lotus-born king. Later, he went to the charnel ground of Kula-tsokpa, meaning perfected in body, and practiced yogic disciplines. There, he tamed the demonic spirits and gave them sublime dharma teachings. And he showed many magical displays with the rays of the sun. Padmasambhava was then known as Nima Oze, rays of the sun. Later, in Bodh Gaya, he defeated 500 Tutikas in a debate and reverted their magic. All the non-Buddhists surrendered. He was then known as Senge Jatruk, the lion's roar. And how many do we have now? 8 already? Alright. Probably there's still one missing. I'll see if I can find the tanka of the 8 manifestations. Padmasambhava is surrounded by his 8 manifestations. For example, Sangye Jatruk, the lion's roar, Dorji Drolo, the wild wrath of Vajra, which is like how Guru Rinpoche manifested in a terrifying wrathful form, riding a tigress to Paro Taktsang in Bhutan. Also, every form that Guru Rinpoche presented had its own specific prayer. In the Dharma of the prayer in 7 chapters, you can find relevant descriptions of the 8 manifestations of Padmasambhava. The stories that I just shared are mainly based on a Dharma of Guru Rinpoche's short biography. Perhaps there are some minor differences compared with the depiction of other Tirthans. Regarding the image and life stories of Padmasambhava, the illustrations of every Tirthan are slightly different. At the present time, he appears in 3 forms, in the upper, middle, and lower stories of the Palace of Lotus Light, on the copper-colored mountain in the heart of the land of Chamara. Now, Padmasambhava has left for the continent of Rakshas. There is a glorious copper-colored mountain in the continent of Rakshas, where the Lotus Palace or the Lotus Light Pure Land is situated. Regarding the Lotus Light Pure Land, or as we usually say, the copper-colored palace, many monasteries are now building replicas of the copper-colored palace. Maybe you didn't look closely, but if you did, you would notice that some have 3 floors and some have 13 levels, but generally it is a 3-story construction. Many monasteries in Serta are building replicas, including the Dege Monastery and Beyu Monastery. A while ago, I went to Qinghai, where many monasteries of the Nyingma lineage are also building it. The place where Padmasambhava lives in the continent of Rakshas, the copper-colored palace is called Zangdok in Tibetan. Many monasteries are making models of this glorious palace. This is where Padmasambhava is abiding in 3 different forms. Different manifestations of Guru Rinpoche, known by various names, dwell in each of the 21 countries of the demons that surround the region. In Tendzin Rinpoche's biography, he wrote that once he visited the Rakshas continent and saw Padmasambhava in the palace with his emanations in the 8 continents of Rakshas. When you have a chance, take a look at the biography. This vision appeared only for a yogi with untainted wisdom, but this might not be the case for everyone. Therefore, each Kirtan gives a different description in their respective treasure texts. In the continent of the Rakshas, there are different subcontinents. Just like there are many states in a country. The United States has about 50 states. Do we have any Americans here? Ask around. Similarly, the continent of Rakshas has numerous subcontinents, and Padmasambhava benefit them with various means and manifestations. In short, just as the Dharma Dhatu is infinite, so too are Guru Rinpoche's activities. He appeared also during the lifetimes of the Buddha of past ages, and it is said that in our present age, the dispensation of Buddha Shakyamuni, most of the learned and accomplished beings in India and other places were and are his emanations. In the sacred biography of Dakini Yeshe Tsoja, it is said that Padampa Sangye was a reincarnation of Padmasambhava. In fact, many Indian masters were emanations of Guru Rinpoche. His blessing and guidance are bestowed on all the holders of the teachings. In India, China, Shambhala, Indonesia, and other realms, his manifestations work strenuously for the benefit of the doctrine and of beings. There are many emanations of Padmasambhava in India, China, Shambhala, Indonesia, and the continent of Raksha, and so on. There he manifests in different forms to benefit sentient beings, sometimes as human beings, sometimes as animals, even in the form of buildings and many other different objects. Some people regard Padmasambhava as nothing more than an ordinary layperson. They criticize his teachings arbitrarily and think his views do not comply with Dharma. When these people talk about their views, apart from being amused, we have no interest in making any comments. It's like in Chinese Buddhism, if certain individuals said how reasonable it is to recite the name of Buddha Amitabha, or how chant Buddhism doesn't make sense, those who understand Buddhism would know the problem lies within the individual. So there is no need to reply. Because of language and cultural differences, some people, especially those from the mainland area, remain ignorant of Tibetan Buddhism. They know little about the accomplishments of Padmasambhava, his endowments of Dharmakaya, Sambhogakaya, and Manakaya, his dissemination of Dharma, and the benefits he brings to sentient beings. In Buddhist countries such as India, China, and the Tibetan region, as a result, various wrong views arose easily in their minds. We can't treat Padmasambhava merely as a yogi with long hair, which is ridiculous and terrible. This time, it is very necessary to learn more about Vajrayana Buddhism. Vajrayana is truly profound. Its teachings bring incredible benefits to the entire humanity and the whole world. Indeed, the power and blessing of Padmasambhava are marvelous. Nowadays, its influence touches not only the Tibetan region. Look at how many countries and regions have benefited from Tibetan Buddhism. A wise person will know. Nowadays, with such a powerful light of blessing, the darkness of our age cannot be dispelled. So we should know that Buddhas and Bodhisattvas have various manifestations. We should never criticize with our conceptual thoughts. Hence, in Tibet, Guru Rinpoche set his feet in every region, blessing all the land, whether in Uzan, Amdo, and Kham, in all places. Take areas around Uzan, for example. There are 25 main sacred sites that were blessed by Padmasambhava. Likewise, in Amdo and Kham, there are also 25 blessed places. Not only in these sacred places, Padmasambhava has set his foot on every part of the Tibetan region and blessed them through his magical power in many forms. This is the reason why these places has never been occupied by Tratikas through periods of history. Therefore, having the blessing from great masters is crucial. For instance, some monasteries that have been graced by masters of the past are totally different from other places. But things are changing now. For example, if a celebrity visits a hospital, then this hospital will hang the picture of this person forever to show off. Whether this visit brings any true benefit or not, we do not know. A hospital is a place to treat people for diseases and bring benefits to the patients. When celebrities who sing well visit the hospital, are their songs beneficial to the recovery of the patient? We are not sure. Only fame to the hospital. I visited some hospitals and they show me photos. Look at this celebrity. This actor, the politician, they all came to our place. They proudly displayed photos of all the famous people who visited. Well, Padmasambhava graced many places, but back then there was no photography. But the image of Guru Rinpoche can be found all over the Tibetan region. I hope that in Dharma centers, on your altars, or even in cars, you can hang an image of Padmasambhava, which will bring you a great blessing. Some people say, my guru is the great one. They put pictures of their gurus in the car. Their lamas might be great, but anyhow, Padmasambhava is the essence of all gurus. I think images of Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, like Shakyamuni, Padmasambhava, and so forth, can bring you a greater blessing. I am strongly in favor of hanging up images of Padmasambhava. Sometimes I see some Dharma friends hanging an image of Padmasambhava in their cars, and I genuinely feel that they would definitely receive the powerful blessing from Guru Rinpoche. Other times, I see people hanging photos of some called gurus, or even my picture. I'm not just saying this. I really think that, oh dear, this person must be confused. What's the use of hanging my picture? It's not going to be much helpful. But the image of Buddhas and Bodhisattvas would definitely bestow virtues upon us. Therefore, I hope that you will learn to discern. In terms of studying Buddhadharma, you owe a great deal to your Dharma teachers, and you should be very grateful towards them. According to some Buddhist texts, gurus are the manifestations of Buddhas. By means of extensive scriptural references and reasonings, the theory that the guru is equivalent to Buddha is valid. In order to be truly convinced, lots of debates are necessary, which will usually take a long period of time. And sometimes you may find that your gurus act beyond your comprehension. You might question your teacher, how can the Buddha do such things? But none of the above arguments would dispute the authenticity of Buddha or Padmasambhava. So, hanging pictures of Buddhas in your car, on your altar, or to wear it as a protection, I think it will be a very good idea. He hid many profound Dharma treasures and prophesied their subsequent discovery in different ages. He has placed the gods and spirits under Vajra oath. The time for the Dharma treasures to be uncovered and the people who will reveal them. Once uncovered, the manner in which they would be applied, for instance, with instructions about how to use them, all of the information was prophesied explicitly. During the process, the demonic forces and upholders of the wrong views who create hindrances were taken care of. All these were very clearly stated. He made promises for the future, saying that as long as the Buddhadharma remains, his emanations will protect the land and people of Tibet. He has entrusted the country to the protection of the 12 Dharma goddesses. As well, there are 21 Upasakas and 13 Gandhabas. In some translations, it's the 12 Gandhabas. Anyway, he subdued many spirits and goddesses. Those who read Padmasambhava's biography know well that when he came to the Tibetan region, the land was full of evil spirits. These indigenous forces were opposed and hostile towards Dharma. They obstructed the construction of Samye Monastery. Neither King Trisong Detsen or the great abbot Shantarachita could subdue them. Then the mighty Guru Rinpoche came and laid the foundation for Samye Monastery through his extraordinary power and secret mantra. Some historians said that the foundation of Samye was laid several times, and the third time was by Padmasambhava. A learned scholar suggested, but historians don't always agree with us practitioners. Sometimes they do, at times they don't. Their approach is from a completely academic perspective. What year did Padmasambhava arrive? In what year did he encounter King Trisong Detsen? Their research is confined to exploring these kinds of questions. But we should focus on letting the blessing of Guru Rinpoche's body, speech, and mind to dissolve into our mind stream. Guru Rinpoche entrusted these Dharma protectors with the task of protecting the entire land, which they still do until today. Many practitioners who come to the Tibetan region in pursuing Dharma are protected by the 12 Dharma goddesses as well. There are sadhanas and prayers for the 12 Dharma goddesses. During the Cultural Revolution, His Holiness Jigme Phuntsok Rinpoche composed a specific prayer for them, which says, 12 Dharma goddesses, do you remember the promise you made in front of Guru Rinpoche? Look at the land these days. How did you guard it? Have you fallen asleep? Where have you been? Later, I saw a Buddhist master in India who also composed a prayer. These two prayers are roughly the same. Not long after the prayer was made, Buddhism prospered again. Sometimes we do need to entreat the Dharma protectors. This is just like when volunteers grow tired of their work. When they are no longer motivated, a harsh criticism will do the trick. A harsh scolding will sometimes remind them of their original motivation. Oh, right, I was supposed to do my job. Then they reopen their computers and continue their volunteer work. So for a while, the 12 Dharma goddesses were not doing a very good job. Yet, eventually, they reassumed their duties. Especially today, they are doing a very good job protecting the Dharma. That's why in the Tibetan region, non-Buddhist missionaries have always had difficulties building their halls. In the old days, they tried to build their shrines, but they encountered all kinds of obstacles and failures. Later, other large organizations made the same attempt, but all their efforts went futile in the end.
就很多行为的话，完全是不成功的。就是所以说，这个呢，就是到目前为止
This has been very obvious so far.
我们这个莲花生大师的这种这个加持啊，就是的确也是
In short,
可以说
the blessing of Padmasambhava is truly incredible.
就是可以这么说，就这一点也是
This is not because we Tibetans have a soft spot for Padmasambhava. Actually, Guru Rinpoche is not even a Tibetan. He was born in the Swat district, which is in Pakistan. But no matter where we come from, we should supplicate Padmasambhava consistently. Many great Buddhist masters hold a very strong faith towards Padmasambhava. So are many enlightened beings of the past. If we do so, our practice is bound to succeed. I often think that if one is especially devoted to Padmasambhava, his or her dharma practice will succeed without obstacles. This is just a thought, and perhaps it is just a personal opinion. However, there are ample scriptural reasoning to support it. Due to our limited time, I cannot present them all to you. And that's it for today.